Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted you found the way here. It's not obvious to find, but thank you very much for joining us. My name is Kerstin. I'm Director General of DG GROW in the European Commission, and it's my absolute pleasure to invite you to attend or to be with you today. We have two keynotes from myself and Nicolas Beer, and then we have two panels that look at the industrial business case and zoom in on the energy business case for what we call Standort Europe, the single market. You all know the context. For almost 5 years now, the world and Europe has gone through a series of unprecedented crises. COVID-19 pandemic, high-intensity wars in Ukraine and Gaza, and we see a risk of escalating regional tensions at our borders. And then we've also gone through the energy crisis when all of a sudden gas from Russia was no longer an option for our economy. So, to put it in a nutshell, it's times of great uncertainty. And that's a competitiveness killer in itself. The clarity, predictability, and confidence are catalysts for investments. And these are drivers that the Commission for the Single Market has tried to strive to strengthen over the past years and to make Europe a true investment and business destination. The good news is that we can already fuel our confidence by building on overall positive dynamics. Take foreign investment, for example. Europe is still the world's biggest foreign investment continent, top global destination, with over 7,000 billion of euros of foreign direct investment according to 2022 data. Another example is the recent trend on clean energy. Following the start of the war of aggression against Ukraine, the European Union has shown its great responsiveness in diversifying away from Russian gas, and by doing so also pushing our decarbonization agenda forward. In 2023, for the first time, the European Union produced more electricity from wind than from gas. Also linked to our climate goals, and when we look at longer trends, we see that the European Union has managed to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions by almost a third since 1990, compared to just above 2 for the United States. It's not about naming and shaming, nor is it about, rose washing, to use the word, the situation in Europe. It's really about putting things into perspective and reminding ourselves that we have very strong assets in Europe, and that the growing assertiveness of some of our biggest global players, for example, IRA in the clean tech sector, or supercharged scale-up of industry in China, wind industry, is putting a strain on European industry. Our debate today is really how we can take the momentum forward from the strong assets. Facing strong headwinds, we have the capacity and the ambition to navigate them, to gear up for the challenge. Today's conference here at the Hannover Fair represents a great opportunity to pool our ideas and our expertise to further refine the contours of our collective European endeavor. And I specifically say European endeavor, and I include Norway, the partner country of the Hannover Fair, with whom we had very interesting discussions this morning already. What we have to answer is two questions. First, what deal for EU industry? The current context of unprecedented crisis has pushed us over the last years to take forceful action and put European industrial policy at the core of our resilience and competitiveness agendas. We have achieved a lot on the regulatory side of things. Now it's about implementing them. But the regulatory frame gives certainty to all companies. The second essential question is, how do we ensure clean, secure, and affordable energy for our industry? Without such energy, decarbonized electricity, there cannot be a twin transition. We are going to have to go into massive electrification. This also means having to recalibrate and smart up our energy and storage infrastructure. We must harness the electricity boom and its decentralized production. As far as I'm concerned, when talking about investing in EU industry, I see three main drivers to focus on: domestic capacities, financial firepower, and business environment. As concerns domestic capacities, we've stepped up our efforts in developing our industrial and technological base with initiatives such as CHIPS Act, the Critical Raw Material Act, and the Net Zero Industry Act. Together, these three proposals aim to ramp up Europe's manufacturing capacities, and they do set clear targets for the share of EU production in our demand. Concrete goals to waymark our efforts towards 2030. It also proposes measures to accelerate permitting and beef up financing for strategic projects and addressing the skills gap. Permitting, I just want to rest my case a second here on this one. We have introduced with the Net Zero Industry Act the same identical permitting procedure for new production facilities in Europe, across Europe, for clean tech technologies. And these procedures, which they are not only identical in the whole of Europe, but they are also hyper rapid. They are digital by default, one-stop shop, and clear deadlines in months, not years or decades as it's today. So that is a very radical simplification across the continent. Of course, we must be aware of the need for human capital to support this transformation. We need new competences at all levels and large-scale upskilling and reskilling of our workforce. Take clean tech. If we want to roll out our battery supply chain, today we are at 167 gigawatt. In 2030, we want to be at 1,000 gigawatt. That requires a massive amount of people, and we're looking at something like 800,000 skilled workforce that is lacking today. We propose to establish specific academies to roll out upskilling and reskilling programs in strategic industries such as raw materials, hydrogen, solar technologies, and we want to do it in a collaborative fashion with the workers and the companies together. Let me come to another capital, money. Also here we have a gap, and quite a big one to say the least. Investment needs to fulfill our 23 green and digital goals amount to at least 600 billion per year. Most of these will have to come from a broad range of private investors, especially through capital markets. And we do have enormous progress to make in speeding up the capital markets union. In particular, it is important to facilitate access to finance for SMEs and smaller business. But the one part of the market that really remains underdeveloped is the market for scale-up financing. In particular, if we compare to other economies. Today in Europe, the risk market is 0.09% of our GDP. In the US, it's 0.75% of GDP. And what hurts most is that European saving capitals, to the tune of several million, moves to the US to do exactly, financing the scale up because there are better risk models there. So we have an interest of keeping our saving money in Europe and invested into European companies. And we must not shy away from de-risking publicly when it serves European added value and when it can serve as a catalyst for crowding in private investments. And I'm very happy Nicolas Baer is here, Vice President of the European Investment Bank, because we've developed a big collaboration on how we can de-risk. And we also have developed agility together. When the wind industry recently told us they cannot bid anymore because they will not have a bank guarantee for performance because of the look of their balance sheets, we developed with the EIB a counter guarantee proposal which helps the wind industry to be in the game again. Just to say one of the examples. Of course, and finally, beyond finance, we must keep the momentum on improving the business environment, especially for our SMEs. We must continue to enforce and promote strong rules with our single market, and I do include all the work we're doing on standards and intellectual property here. We must also make sure that these rules are clear, and we have been working hard to pass our rules through what we call the competitiveness filter to check that they help companies. On reporting obligations, we've committed ourselves to reduce these by 25% throughout our laws. These were the main ideas I would like to share with you as an opener for our discussion on the future of the EU industry. And I think it's important to remember that 30 years single market meant working on the rules, making single rules. What our focus is now shifting to, in addition, is competitiveness, scale up of innovation, scale up of that innovation that actually allows us to produce sustainability and consume sustainably, and resilience, because we cannot afford to be vulnerable through dependencies. Look at certain raw materials where we have dependencies of up to 100%, because that would disrupt our business models in Europe, and we want them to be strong. I'm very much looking forward to our discussion, and I'd like to give the floor to Nicolas Baer now to give us the EIB perspective. Thank you.